if I put myself in your shoes of having spent 6, 7, 8 months basically non-operationally in a classroom, and now going back, I mean, did you feel rusty? Did you jump right back in and like a well-oiled machine? And how did they let you know, and what was going there like?
Well, when I came back, the team leader came out of the team room and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Pack your shit. We're leaving for Panama tomorrow," or something like. That's the way that went down. Yeah. In terms of rusty, not really. You just do so much close quarter battle and so much training when you're there that I don't know if that's just me being cocky in my own mind, but I'm like, I'm solid, I'm good to go. So I didn't feel like that. I was very excited. I was in my early 20s, so I was ready to go kick some ass. Yeah. Because over there, it's like you're practicing for the Super Bowl that you never get to go to.
Yeah.
And that's the way it had been. And so I was really fired up about that. Did that answer?
Yeah, it did. I'm curious, can you talk about what you guys did there?
Yeah.
Did they give you kind of the con ops of, hey, here's where we're going, here's why we're going, here's our mission objective? Did they give you all that?
Yeah, so the deal was to overthrow Manuel Noriega. That was the big thing. And we knew it was going to be a big deal, and we were going to have all of the major SOCOM Tier 1 players that were going to go down, and the Rangers had a big part of it and all of that. So we knew that much. I tell you what, Mike, simplistically, most of the time, the only thing we really ever wanted to know was what our ROE was.
Yeah.
Then that way we could figure out how to shoot somebody, because that was just, it's like, we're just going to go get some. And so we had all of that, and we knew that we were going to be responsible for trying to take down or disrupt that government, get Manuel Noriega and all of his top people, and by virtue of that was dismantling their entire military structure, which is what we did. Yeah. And so we went down and we captured a bunch of his colonels and his nephew, specifically to us. The first night that I was there, when the big operation went down, we were on a contingency force. So we were back on the Air Force Base waiting to get called out, which was a bummer because I could literally watch the commandancia get blown up by AC-130 gunship from where I was sitting. Yeah. It's really weird to be, if you want to call it, in a war zone when you're actually watching, from a protected area, yeah. watch it go down in real time in front of your, yeah. In front of your face.
I agree. I remember being in Iraq in the early days when the Jessica Lynch mm-hmm. rescue operation took place. We were in a bermed out, I guess you could call it a fob. Not really. It was bulldozers made a berm in this little area, and we were posted up with, I think it was the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit. But either way, we saw 3rd Battalion Rangers and Dev Group go execute this mission, and we could see it similarly. It was like we're watching little birds fly overhead, and we're like, the fuck, and it was wild. It's like having box seats at a war, it's really a really strange experience for sure. So that was the first night. The second night, or subsequent days, I guess, did you guys go in and actually get some?
We did some strange operations. So we were going off of intelligence-based stuff. And a lot of times the intelligence wasn't that well honed. It wasn't as well honed as it was probably for you in Iraq or me in Afghanistan and what we're used to by this thing. So they would send us to people's houses sometimes, and sometimes the person we were looking for was there, and other times we were just bashing down the door of some poor people, and rummaging through their house to look for somebody that wasn't there, which did give me pause in my own mind, at sometimes. Yeah. We went for Noriega a couple of times directly, and he was not there, to a couple of his homes. So we had that going on. Like I said, we captured his colonel and his nephew, and one night I almost got killed. We actually used tanks and APCs. Now this was, it was not an M1 Abrams tank. It was like a Sherman or something, yeah. And an APC. It was not a Bradley. And they actually escorted us downtown, and we came out of the APC. I set up ground security outside with a few other guys while the main force went up to the 8th floor of a high rise in order to go get the person that we were trying to get. I can't remember who it was. It was one of his guys or whatever. Yeah. And there were two identical towers there. And so we went up to the wrong 8th floor, we went up to the 8th floor in the wrong building, and blew it down. And when they blew it down, it blew like a sliding glass window out from the 8th floor thing, and it came down and smashed me over the top of my head and smashed me into the ground. I was kneeling outside in a security position, and strangely enough, me and one other guy on my team were the only people to have a ballistic helmet on, and it saved my life. It was an Israeli RDT&E ballistic helmet that I just happened to have on that night. And so it was tempered glass, and it shattered into a bazillion pieces over the top of my head as it smashed me into the ground. And
did it injure you to the point where it took you out of the fight, or?
No. Well, it smashed me into the ground, and I don't think it knocked me out. It just was like somebody hit me over the head with a sledgehammer, but I had a ballistic helmet on. Yeah. And so it took me a while to get my crap together. And everybody's like, "Are you all right, dude?" Like one of those deals. Yeah. And so I got my crap back together, and I was back online in like a minute or two. But I was really lucky on that one.
From a shots fired standpoint, did you guys get into many gunfights during that time, or was it pretty low resistance?
It was pretty low resistance. Yeah. We took over their Special Forces compound on Flamingo Island, and it was completely intact with nobody there. All the guns, all the bullets, literally underground bunker warehouses full of RPG rounds and bullets, which I have little doubt that gave us the RPG-7 rounds that we probably shot for the next decade at the command and other commands, including your commands and stuff. It was just tons of stuff like that, but very little resistance. Yeah. All the places that we went, we shot, but it wasn't like it was in Afghanistan and Iraq. Yeah. We used live breaching charges on everything, and it was a great training war, if there's a such thing as that.
Yeah. Kind of a good intro to gunfights and combat.
Had some people get hurt, so I get to be a combat medic some. That was good to get the practice of the the shock of that.
Coming back from that, obviously the 80s was relatively benign and peaceful and quiet from a military standpoint, at least as the United States is concerned. Was there a little bit of we've been to war now and, kind of peacock feathering a little bit of having just gotten back from the show?
It probably was for a little bit, but it was so quick. We call it a flash in the pan, because it was literally, we were back, it was only like 2 weeks we were gone. Yeah. And I came back and then went back to 18 Delta and finished Goat Lab, which was, and I'll tell you something too on that. I think we started with 80-something people there, and I know these numbers sound very much the same, and they are, and we graduated like 15 people. The attrition rate of Special Forces 18 Delta was as harsh as, SEAL training. And so I came back from there and got really lucky because I'd been through 18 Delta. I got picked to be the lead medic in El Salvador, Special Forces medic in El Salvador, for a period about 6 months, I believe, during the El Salvadorian Civil War, which I really wasn't directly a ground person on that. I was out of San Salvador, which is the capital, but I did get to go off into the areas and have contact with the Special Forces advisors that were operating in those areas, and that was a great experience from an Army perspective. Kind of filling the role of an 18 Delta over there.
Plus more jungle time for you. Already having some of that experience, right? Yeah.
Partially like that, yeah.
What happened after that? And you were at Dev Group from, 86 to 96? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So moving forward, I guess, the first Gulf War, Somalia, walk us through, I guess, the rest of your time at Dev Group.
The first Gulf War, we were very excited about. I remember being at an advanced jump training when that kicked off, and we just knew that we were going to get to go, and it was going to be awesome. And we're going to get to do everything that we always did. Well, it did not turn out to be the case, and the speculation was, and I don't know if it's true, but it's what we kind of ran with, that we had pissed off General Schwarzkopf back when he was a colonel, and like destroyed some ranges or something at some obscure army base somewhere. Like I said, I don't know if any of this is true. Anyway, he already had a taste in his mouth for Navy SEALs and especially our organization. And what we heard was, it was like, you are not coming to this show at all as long as I have anything to do with it. Yeah. So I think there was a couple of select things that did go down, but I was not a part of any of them. So I got to watch that one on the sidelines as most of the rest of us did.